Hey everybody, this is Cecelia Townscott here, of founder and CEO of Honor Your Flow. Today in our How Do We Honor Our Flow kind of episode, I am so excited. We are talking to a real registered dietitian. We have Cha-Cha here on all your social media. She's It's the Cardamom. And y'all, like when it comes to nutrition and like ways to diversify your nutrition, like she is unmatched, right? I know that I don't always think about all these different parts of my life and different parts of like what I do with my body and how I interact with like things outside of me, that those can affect my menstrual cycle, you know, like my reproductive health. So we're going to just jump right in. Cha-Cha, can you tell us what are some foods or food groups that are healthy, that kind of promote good menstrual and reproductive health, and then why?
Yeah, so really great question, because it is something that most people aren't really thinking about or keeping top of mind. So nutrition in general just kind of sets us up for really everything, but definitely for our menstrual cycle. So I have a lot that I could say on this, but I'm really going to try to keep it short and sweet. So as we know, there are different parts of your menstrual cycle. It's not just your period. And each part of your cycle needs certain nutrients to support it or to support you rather in certain ways. So during your period, you're losing a lot of blood. So you may have lower energy. So for this stage of your menstrual cycle, you want to focus on iron-rich foods. So that's going to be beans, nuts, legumes, lean meats, or plant-based proteins like tofu or tempeh. Okay. You're also going to want to focus on nutrient-dense foods to support the loss of nutrients through your blood, and also the rebuilding that takes place afterwards, because you know that is the shedding of the lining of your uterus, but then your body needs to rebuild. So that's going to be complex carbohydrates like whole grains, fruits and vegetables, and things along those lines. So following your period, during that rebuilding stage, that's when you're going to want, like I said, the more nutrient-dense foods that support healthy and normal bodily function. So it's going to be important to make sure you're getting enough calories in, because under eating can really impact you negatively and impact your cycle in a negative way.
Oh, wow.
So, okay. Yeah, I know, right? It's stuff that you don't really think about, and especially, you know, being moms in particular, being women, you know, in a progressive, fast-paced world, we're not always thinking about what we're eating. We're not always thinking about how to really care for ourselves from the inside out. So yeah, I mean, when you're ovulating, you may have less of an appetite. That's another thing to keep in mind. So here you want to make sure that every single bite counts. So you're going to want to focus on complex carbs and healthy fats and a diverse range of fruits and vegetables and a lot of high fiber foods. And then your hormones are going to spike in anticipation of fertilization during that phase of your period, but then they fall if fertilization doesn't take place. So here you may experience, yeah, I know, it's crazy. But here you may experience a drop in energy because your body is going through a lot. You may see an increase in hunger, amongst other things. So here you're going to want to make sure that you're getting a lot of fiber-rich foods to really like rid the body of excess hormones, and then additional energy from food to fight your fatigue. So that's complex carbs to help manage your blood sugar, fiber, beans, legumes, whole grains.
You know, for those of you who are watching, like as she's talking, I have so many more questions. This would just like we need so much more time for this, but like today is just
we do
like overview. So we'll be back, but this is just kind of like the appetizer. Okay, no, that was super informative, and thank you for that. On the other side of that, are there foods that are harmful, or you know, they kind of like work against you as we're going through? You know, literally our cycle, like it takes a full, for the like average person, which we're all different. For the average person, you know, that 8 or so days, are there foods or food groups that are harmful for you during that process?
Yeah, so there are a few things that can kind of negatively impact your menstrual health. So the biggest one I'd say, and the one that I see the most, is not eating enough.
Hmm.
And that's particularly harmful because your body needs energy to perform all of these processes. Like, as women, our bodies go through a lot and our
Mhm.
bodies experience a lot of changes. We need energy for all of that. And
Mhm.
so if your body is not getting enough energy, and our energy, it comes from food, then your body essentially perceives that as a threat.
Mm.
So your menstrual cycle is what equips you with the ability to procreate. So if your body identifies that the environment is not optimal for sustaining life, like there's just not enough energy to sustain, then it will turn off these processes as basically a method of self-preservation.
Wow.
Right. Something that we don't think about every day, right?
Yeah. Right. Like, oh, I'll just skip this meal. No big deal. Don't.
Yeah, your body, if you do that often enough, your body sees it as a threat. Something else that's really big that we experience just kind of being in this like fast-paced world that we live in, stress can negatively impact your menstrual cycle in a big, big way. And
Mhm.
it's kind of a similar reason as to how not eating enough can impact your flow, because when you're stressed, cortisol is produced. So that's kind of like what triggers your fight or flight response. It's
Mm.
your body's programmed reaction to danger. So the function of cortisol in our bodies was much different for like the first humans than it is for us now.
Yeah.
And our bodies haven't really evolved to the point where they can recognize the difference between like, oh, I'm stressed from my job, or like, oh, a buffalo is attacking me. So if your body senses it's in danger, it basically turns off all of those non-essential functions like menstruation as another form of self-preservation.
Wow.
So yeah, it's crazy how things work. Our bodies are really smart. Our bodies are really adaptive, and the goal of our body is to keep us alive. So it does that by any means necessary. But in addition to avoiding stress and making sure you're getting enough calories, you're also going to want to avoid excess salt because it
Mm.
can cause water retention and bloating and discomfort.
Mhm.
Excess sugar can cause energy spikes and crashes, and that can really impact your mood. And then excess consumption of red meat. So
Mm.
this one is kind of interesting because during your period, your body produces some compounds called prostaglandins.
Okay.
So these compounds help your uterus contract to get rid of the uterine lining,
Mhm.
resulting in your period.
Mhm.
But high levels of prostaglandins, they can cause cramps. And so even though red meat is high in iron, which is, great during your period, it's also high in prostaglandins. So too
Mhm.
much of it can cause a problem.
Okay.
And then I guess aside from that, too much caffeine and alcohol, that is also reported to cause an increase in cramps. So those are really the things that you want to just consume in moderation, or if you can, not at all. But those are the things that can negatively impact your menstrual cycle.
Oh my God. And of course, like those are the things I feel like in our society that are so readily available. Like,
Totally, totally,
find,
100%.
man, all those things everywhere all the time. Um,
Yeah.
so much to talk about and unpack there. And then just one more, because we are keeping this really short and sweet. Just the truth of the matter with, all the good stuff that you gave us is that, during your period, like those comfort foods,
Hmm.
those things,
Hmm.
and all the things you said we should not be eating. Like I feel like that's what my body like calls out for. So,
Hmm.
just as a registered dietitian, like what's something that you would kind of say, what's a comfort food that is also healthy and, kind of
Hmm.
toward what we need for our bodies? Do you have a suggestion, maybe a recipe, something we can use?
Yeah, for sure. So first thing I will say is that everything is okay in moderation. You know, just because you're on your period doesn't mean you need to completely avoid sugar, salt, caffeine, alcohol. You can still enjoy those things in moderation. Yeah. So I definitely believe balance is key, especially since, like you mentioned, during that time, you might need a little extra comfort, a little extra energy. And, you know, a lot of those foods do provide us with, you know, easy, quick energy. So my favorite default comfort food is always going to be pasta. So a way to make a pasta dish more nutrient dense, one, you can use like a whole grain, a whole wheat pasta, or even a legume pasta. A lot of those are out on the market. They have chickpea pastas, they have red lentil pastas. So that's a good way to pack in some extra iron and some extra nutrients.
Okay.
And then I just pack my pasta dish with veggies. You can saute them up real quick in a pan with some olive oil, some garlic, salt, and pepper. You can even use frozen veggies because, you know, during that time of the month, we often don't have a lot of energy. So just make it quick and easy on yourself. And then you can use a jarred pesto sauce, a jarred pasta sauce, you know, whatever you prefer. Even if you just want a little olive oil with some sea salt and a squeeze of lemon, you're good to go.
I love it. Is dark chocolate in this list as well? Something in
So dark chocolate is actually great because dark chocolate is it has magnesium in it, like especially the higher percentages. And magnesium can help relieve period cramps. It kind of helps calm your nervous system. Magnesium also helps with bone health. It can help regulate sleep. So yeah, dark chocolate. Have the dark chocolate. Enjoy it.
I'm so glad to hear this. Okay. So I told y'all this was gonna be quick. Just a very quick, you know, how do you honor your flow with your diet, with, you know, Cha-Cha. Follow her. She's at It's the Cardamom. Y'all, her content is so bomb. Like, I absolutely love it. Again, in general, but like, especially if you have toddlers. And I don't know, I mean, maybe you can speak to if this is true or not. Like, I feel like what I'm hearing in the world is like, if you want to be a little bit healthier, like just eat like a toddler, like the portions and the things that like toddlers should eat, like incorporate some of that into your diet. Is that true?
So that, I don't really know how true that is. I haven't heard that. Okay. In order to be more healthy, I subscribe to a philosophy that I like to call plant forward, which just means that plants are priority. So it doesn't necessarily mean you need to completely give up meat or anything, but it just means prioritize plants, you know, put those first on your plate. I think that's really the easiest way for people to transition to a more healthy lifestyle. Just think about how many plants you can add as opposed to, you know, what you have to take away. Because I think these days, a lot of diets are just so restrictive and they're like, oh, you can't eat gluten, you can't eat carbs, you can't eat sugar, you can't eat salt. And it's like, okay, so what can I eat? Like air? So in order to, you know, have a more sustainable approach, let's think about how many plants you can add to your plate. You know, if you're having a burger for dinner, let's add some mushrooms to that. Let's add some onions. Let's add some spinach. Like, let's add some avocado. So I think that's really a more sustainable, approachable way to shift to a more healthy diet.
Do you see this? Okay, you all need to follow. All right, this is from a real, she's knocking down myths already, okay? So again, It's the Cardamom. She's a registered dietitian. Please do follow her. Thank you also for tuning in to, you know, this episode of how we honor our flow. Thank you so much, Cha-Cha. I know I have learned. Thank you for having me. Whoever watches this, like, you have learned a lot. And, you know, this is just an appetizer. We will be back because there's obviously so much more to unpack here. But we want this one to kind of be quick and sweet. All right. So thank you. Have good times, everybody. And we'll check you later.